All right, the next talk is named NSA for Dummies. It's probably over-exaggerated, but okay, go the old way. It's my first technical talk in like ages. And what do? I sit around, hack boxes, break things, drink stuff, run around, organize a conference, do things. So what's the motivation on this talk? So everybody last year is like, oh, there's this Eddie Snowden, and Snowden Eddie said, hey, the NSA is not just stealing your shit, they are breaking every shit. It's like, they know everything about everything. They break your 4048 RSA like instantly and easily, and they can break RSA. And I had this conversation with this one dude, and he's like, oh, the fucking NSA is breaking my RSA key. And I said, well, how big is your key? And he's like, 1024, oh, you can break it yourself. Don't need those guys for. They're well overpaid for that. So, and if you look a bit back, we have several different schemes where we do our inscription on, and there were great figures in history, like the guys here, Diffie-Hellman, Mr. Hellman and Mr. Diffie, and they actually had a thesis which was the founding thesis of all our public key crypto stuff, where we can send a message back and forth and actually have a key where we agreed on and can de or encrypt our messages. No, won't work. So on the Diffie-Hellman scheme, we have some public parameters where we have a group which could be some integers or some elliptic curve, etc., etc. And we actually have some generator of the group, and we agree on that. And if now Bob wants to talk to Alice, he calculates g to the a, and Alice gives him back the g to the b, and they both can easily calculate the message without getting hit by Bob's nice, cute wife. So when both can calculate g to the a, b, then we get a message which is the same. Therefore, we need this key exchange. And we say that the discrete logarithm problem is computing the a from this group g to the a, or the b from the group g to the b, right? And since this is not NP and complete, and unless something really surprising happens, we call this a hard problem. So the Diffie-Hellman problem is computing a to the b from an a which we find in the public, or a b which we find in the public. So we have this shared key in the public. Usually you upload it somewhere, and as long as we can't do that, that's a problem. And now the question is how are we going to do that? In this talk, I first go through the problems we see on encryption and then or decryption, and then we're going to solve them, probably. So the next problem was the RSA problem from Remir, Chavest, and Edelman. And they had a public key and a private key. So they say on the public key is actually the product of P by Q, which is supposed to be large primes, and E is the encryption exponent, while the private key is P or Q, right? D we use for decryption, so D equals to the exponent minus 1 mod, exponent to the power of minus 1 mod P minus 1, and the Q minus 1 is not on the screen no more. I was too tired, probably. And here we got this problem that we send a ciphertext mod, the ciphertext message, which is the message power to the E mod n. And before we need the public key n and e, so that we have the exponent where we can encrypt the stuff with. So we need to compute prime factors for p and q of n. So factoring is not NP complete on n unless something surprising happens, the same like with the Diffie-Hellman scheme. The RSA assumption is giving n, e, and c C is the ciphertext in our case. We should compute x so that x and the power to e equals c mod n. And we have this scheme right now since 36 years, and we still don't know if there are different ways going to decrypt this stuff without except factoring or discrete look. We can't tell yet. So that means this problem is hard, which the assumptions also say. They had actually, but that's like many slides later, we have the discrete logarithm is improved in the moment a bit, and we have some nice research going on since last year. But as I said, we get this later. PS, which most important, if you go this way, that is like the textbook encryption from RSA, don't use it. It might get compromised. So, oh, you can't read it. That's bad. No good. I should make a bigger screen. I'm using a mathematical program. Who knows Sage in the audience? You know Sage? You win. Good man. Oh. Meh. No, come on. First cheer. Don't drink it this way. We should cheers first, man. Don't drink alone. That's really, really rude. People tend not to do that. Okay. Sage is like Mathematica for poor people like me. It has a big library. You can install it. I don't know, whatever operating system you get. It's like emerged Sage. I don't know. Or Yaourt minus whatever as Sage or whatever operating system you use. That should even run under Windows. And it is based on Python, which is totally cool because most of the hackers know Python. Just figure it would be based on Perl. Could be worse, right? The only thing what we have here is this little square up there is not a XOR like in Python, but it's power 2. So actually it reads P equals random prime 2 power to the 512 and Q random prime 2 to the power of 512. So we actually want to create a prime, actually a key from 1024. And now we say n is P by Q. We use the most used exponent on the internet, which is 65,537. That's what almost everybody uses. Then we go D inverse mod E minus P by Q minus 1, both in little thingies, like my knife. And then we can calculate that thing, and we can encrypt a little secret message. I just padded it with a base 36, so you shouldn't use that in real life. And actually, we can, when you see it has one free line, and after that, you see how it's decrypted. So you can use this program actually for calculations when you want to factor stuff or want to run through a Pollard row or later for numeric sieve or stuff like this. Actually, they broke with sieve, with Sage, they broke the little ID card from the Taiwanese people. They had a little key on their ID card, and it was safe and secure, and they loved it, and they could use their little ID card and put it somewhere, and then they were signed. Actually, that was your signature. The Germans want to do something too like this, but in Germany we make it safe, right, Burg? They said so on TV. We make it safe. It's not like the Thai guys. No, it wasn't Taiwan. It was Taipei. Who was it? Anyone who knows that one? Oh, now they get afraid of the vodka. Well, the problem is when you get a bad cipher, you get hacked. It doesn't matter where you go. Let's jump a little bit into number theory. We have congruence, where we defined 3 integers like a, b, and m. And then the congruent to b modulo m is divide a minus b, which should be bigger than a to b mod m. There's such an integer k, like mk, a minus b, or a equals b plus km. So if we look at this common, this complete set of residues, we have the, let's say, in a little example, the CSR of 10 would be 0 till 9, right? So you have all the numbers which you need for your little 10 in there. Going a bit further, we figure out there is something like the reduced sets of residues. So 10 would be eliminated every number that's not relatively a prime to 10. It's like 10 is 2 by 5. So the 10 and the 2 we can take out. And we can calculate 6, or we can divide 6, 4, 8 by 2. So we can take them out too. So actually our reduced set is 1, 3, 7, 9. So there was a guy named Euler. He did this totient. And he actually figures that there's an integer is written like this. You see this little totem sign, and it's a set of integers which is less than what you have in there. And the set of integers we have here is the 1, the 3, the 7, the 9, which equals a 4. Everybody still awake? It was a long night, right? So the Euler's totem theorem is if m bigger than 1 and a and m are relatively prime, then a to the totem in m equals 1 mod m. So let's go over to factoring. We need actually this totem for factoring, because factoring we need the primes. And as smaller these primes are, we call them smooth. So we can really work with primes which are small. And we have 2 types of factoring algorithms with running time dependency, where the size of the factor matters. Those are good to find small numbers, right? Or relative small numbers. And big factor in big numbers or to factor small numbers, whatever. You should drink less, I know. General purpose algorithms are different. You can use them for more kinds of numbers. So the first one is more like a Pollard row. This would be more like a Pollard row factoring algorithm, while this would actually catch more on a Pollard P-1 algorithm, which we're gonna talk about a little bit later. So let's start with trial division. Trial division is really good if you want to factor real small primes. So we run through all the primes up to a number and try to divide them, each of them primes. And if we find that it divides successfully by all number, we found a factor. More or less, we call this trial and error, right? And that's the reason why it's called trial division. So P divided by log P is there to find the factor P. The Pollard row is a little bit better for finding slightly larger prime factors. So we do a random walk among the elements mod n. This walk you will have a little graphic, or there will be a little graphic. And if p divides n, we have a cycle of the length of p. And there will be a collision after there can be collisions after searching square root p. Random elements, you know the birthday paradox? Who knows the birthday paradox? Right, more than one, that's good. The rest don't know the birthday paradox. Well, if you have a lot of people like you guys here in one room, we run into collision that at least 2 or 3 or 4 of you guys have the same day birthday. And there's actually a formula based for that, where you can count out how many people most likely has the same day birthday when you calculate this formula, but I thought everybody knows that, so I cut that out, right? So maybe we want to just, instead of running through one row, we want to do 2 pointers. then we could do one pointer twice as fast as the other one, and then we probably can go through that without having a collision. So that's how it looks like. Yeah, this graphic is just pulled from the internet. Basically, most likely. So you can see here, he's coming in, then he walks his little row, and that's the reason why it calls Pollard row, because when you do it graphically, you see this little row going on there, right? So, Sugi, was this my battery? Let's see. What does it say? 2 hours, 1 minute. Oh, that's going to be tough. So the Pollard p-1 method is a bit better if you have still small factors, and if you can find an element a to the power of r, which equals 1 mod p, then we divide p by the GCD of r to the power of r minus 1 and n. We don't know. So we don't know p, we choose a small prime factor in our r, and we hope that the mod p divides by this number. So we play around a bit, and we try to find an r factor which helps us to go to this number. That's also some kind of trial error thing. If I find larger factors than the row algorithm, but it don't work with all primes, or only with smaller ones, so that is probably not what we want to do. And the drawback on that thing is that the cryptostuns are required actually to use only strong primes, and strong primes shouldn't be small. So actually, the dropout rate is really good here. Actually, the primes at the Pollard p-1 won't work in nowadays encryption. That's like only when you want to do this for research or for you learning how crypto works. You won't see it hardly, or you will see it hardly in real life. You find it in real life when somebody tries to implement encryption by themselves. We have good crypto implementations, but many people try to do this by themselves. I just had a client where the bank was a bank, and they did encryption by themselves, and they fucked up. So then we go to the elliptic curve method, and I think that is, it was long time state of the art for finding bigger size factors. I need to go to the harder stuff. Anyone knows what this is? Yeah? Anyone want to find out? It's a vodka. Polish guys should be capable to drink vodka, don't you? It's made from potatoes. Anyone want to try? Who's the guy who dropped out a talk in Berlin sites? Raise your hand. Where are you? Ah, damn it. All right. So we just said it's good for finding medium-sized factors. It's based on the p-1 algorithm over a group of points on an elliptic curve modulo p, which means that we're not just running and now trying one little prime and check it again and try it again. We have now a curve where we have more than one prime, so we don't have to multiply the groups of elements. We just do an addition of the points we find on the curve. And the arithmetic is done by modulo n. That's almost not readable. Isn't that a shame? You go to a hotel, you expect it to be watched in a hotel, and you expect them to have like HD cameras, and all what comes out from the surveillance camera is that? That really sucks. So the quadratic sieve intuition is actually the step before what we use in nowadays. That's getting damn close to what we do today. So if we can find two squares, like a to the square and b to the square, such that we have a to the square equals b to the square mod n, then we can subtract a to the square, b to the square from a to the square, while a plus b and a minus b equals q mod n. So with a bit of luck, we'll find that a plus b or a minus b shares a non-trivial common factor n. If that is the case, we can compute it. So after trying to factor this way, it's to start at a number c, which is a square root of n. I first... Get this guy in here. I got something to shoot him. What the fuck? The Snickers now say, I shoot you all. Well, wait a minute. Oh, okay. I actually wanted to write down the number on that thing, but first of all, my handwriting is not really good, and second of all, it's really a pain in the ass to do this on a computer. So, and the slides wasn't ready until I was in the taxi. Actually, the last 3 slides I made in the taxi. Since I run a little conference, which ended the day before yesterday, and there was a little bit of organization, and I had to give a talk, which was not planned, so this is quite not as good as it could be, but hey, you got to bear with it, and you're a great audience, you're still here. Anyone want a zip to drink? We have water too. It's hot in here. No? Okay. I'll drink something. All right. So after we try to factor it away, I just read the formula to you, so that's much easier and convenient for you guys too, for people who are not so really into the formulas. So if some number c, which is a square root of n, try to be c squared minus n, is c plus 1 squared minus n, till you find a suitable square which we reduce to a square mod n. The suitable square would be some smooth factor, right? This is what we try to factor then. Actually, we have a smooth number, and then we try to factor that thing, and if it's small enough, then it's really good. It's not so efficient like the stuff it's today, but after this we can construct an a square of the numbers we tried before. So the quadratic sieve is try to factor each of the squares. Then you only save the factorization if you find some smooth, some bound b which is smooth. Then we store each of the factorizations and its exponents factor, like 2 is its like 2 to its exponent, like 2 to its exponent, till b is smooth. The product of this factorization is a square, then it's an exponent factor containing only even entries. And if we only have even entries, we can use the linear algebra to find our linear dependency of mod 2. One, we can try to square root to find a non-trivial factorization. Our running time depends on how we choose b. So how many numbers we try to factor, and sure enough, on the probability of our random chosen number b, if this is b smooth. If we choose a b which is not b smooth or not smooth, everybody knows what smooth is? One more time. If you got a factor which you can work with, we call it smooth in crypto analysis everywhere in the world. It's just common when you read somewhere a formula and it says a smooth, then it's a number you can factor, like a smaller prime. If you got really big primes, they're not smooth. You can't work with them. You have to break them down and break them down, break them down, break them down until they're smooth. If they are smooth, you can factor. If you can factor them, you're going to break them. And if you give a short blast into the history, there was this 1977, correct me if I'm wrong, Gardner just put up a game which says in some magazine, some science magazine, said, oh, you're going to factor this 125-bit RSA, and who wins is the man. And our friend, was it Ramir? No, Ron Chivesta was Ron, right? Ron said actually, oh, you know, 40 quadrillion years to do so. 40 quadrillion years not totally passed by, because in 1994, some dudes say, hey, we have an internet and we use it. People share computing power, so they shared like, I think 2,200 CPUs some faxes and some stuff, like the open source project, and they factored that thing in, I think, 6 months or so. Later on, we have there was the RSA, and they say, oh, we do it 2 ways. NSA to get the easy way because they don't have the time, and it's like taxpayers' money. We should not let them factor their shit. And then they have the public. Public don't cost taxpayers money, so let's factor them the shit. So they have the little contest out there which says, hey, can you factor RSA? And we had some interesting results out of this. So 2010, they factored the 512-bit RSA, and 2012, Thomas Kleinjung actually factored, what was it, 768-bit RSA, and at the end of the day, if you look at whatever we find in the internet, maybe factorization is not the solution for you anyway. But that was a subject of a talk in Berlin sites, where I was speaking of how to own the half internet with just finding the lack of randomness. Our problem is this talk wasn't scheduled in Berlin sites. I just did it because somebody dropped out. It's not here. And so this talk actually basically is meant as a basis for my later talks, and it should be understood as I don't claim any credits for this talk, because this is what you get in a university in the first day when you come in there and say, oh, do you know about crypto? And that's what any university professor will, in better words, bring to you, since he does it every day, and I do this once every 20 years. So it will sound much better when you go to university. Random University does this talk much better than me. So I don't claim credits for it, but they drink less. Pussies. So our running time, as I said, depends on how we choose our B, right? So the state of the art in factoring is actually number field sieves. It was chosen from all these great people when they actually hit the RSA contest. They all used this. And nowadays, like I think the 512-bit RSA was the first one which used number field sieves. Actually, the Kleinjung used, I think he had 25 instances of the ECU, and he used 2.5 years for breaking the 728 RSA key, right? So number field sieve is actually good for very large factors, and it's the state-of-the-art way to factor stuff. So we replaced the relationship of a to the b and a squared to the and to h. Sorry, beginning. We replaced the relationship of a squared equals b squared to mod n. That's what we had in factorization in the sieves before. Now we do this with a homomorphic, which is a ring of integers with some chosen number fields, and the integer is a mod n. So you just figure you have several number fields which you can choose from. You just build some number fields and you calculate in each number field for itself. So what you have to do is a polynomial selection, search over different number fields to find a number field which gives us a good factorization. So you build up several number fields and you try to find number fields which give you a good factorization, which is number fields as I write it is more than 1, right? If we got like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 200, 10,000, we find a relation by factoring over the number fields and in integers. So we check out if we found some related stuff in between several number fields, not just in one, which makes it more advanced, especially in the time of Amazon. Then we use our linear algebra, a square number field and to find the square number field on integers, like we had the squares before in the quadratic sieve. Right? We map the square roots from the number field into the integers and check if we find a factor. So we take the squares out of all the number fields we found through our factorization, and we take them out and we put them in another one and try to factor that stuff. So what do we have else? We have the discrete logarithm, and that's really interesting since there are many improvements in 2013 on this. I don't know, who's the name of this guy from France? Me and names. 15 is his name. Okay, I forgot. Was wurde Master? So the name of the guy from France is 15, obviously. Somebody just told me. So and they actually brought out a new paper in which you can read how to use discrete log to get to the algorithm, or actually to the encryption of smaller primes. It's not out for larger primes right now, but that is the first improvement, I think, in about 30 years or such. And it's like factorization. We have improvements, like we go from Pollard row, and then we got new computers, cool, then we go P-1, we got new ideas, cool. We go to the quadratic sieve and several other sieves. So sieving, then we have several methods, cool. We find the number-felt sieving, which is state-of-the-art, cool. But on the other hand, people are started to try it with the discrete log, and they have improvements too. They're kind of a bit slower, but they move on. So actually what we want to do is we find relations to collect a lot of choices for the g of the r to the r. So g to the r is like equals p1 square to the power of r1 until you reach a number, like in this case it's like pk to the power of pk mod p. If you have enough relations, we try to solve log p. So is it still there? Yeah. So yeah, that's my crackle from today morning in the hotel. Excuse me, it's not looking so nice. So r equals r1 log g, which is p1 plus. When we go ahead until we reach r to k, and log this to g mod p-1. So we search for smooth relations, multiply by t to the r until we hit a smooth element. It's like here the log g by pi. Now we can write down this discrete log, and that looks like log is t equals r, and so on and so on and so on. The slide's gonna be online. I doubt that you can read this. It's handwritten by somebody who can't write and read, but hey, you're gonna live with it. We're gonna bear with it. The point is, if we get a really advanced discrete log, if we can improve our discrete log, those numbers will fail. Those numbers are not countable no more. So if we can improve the discrete logarithm, then we can actually solve the problem, probably of the RSA problem, like what you use every day. What are you using in your browser every day? Which logarithms? Which logarithm? Algorithm. Which algorithm you use in your browser? Hello? No one? You ever used HTTPS? No one? Almost no vodka, I swear. No vodka, I swear. What? Actually, what you want to use is Diffie-Hellman and RSA. That's what your browser tells you, usually. If not, ask him. He maybe has cancer or something. So, and underlying even either if we use the RSA problem or we use the DSA problem, which I actually not got into since I just have 45 minutes, in both problems, the underlying algorithm is a discrete log. So if we can crack this, and mathematicians are on the way, that means we're screwed. But hey, it just takes a few years, few more years. So by the stand of what we have on computing power, and this is actually without using any advanced techniques. This is just regular number field calculations with no tuning, no fine tuning on it, right? These numbers are made by the guys. There's a paper out there using the cloud to dynamic key strengths from Lenstra, Klein-Jung, Page, and Smart. So that's not my estimation, that's estimation from other people, because it took me to do the first one, it took me about $256. So, but the estimation they do, if you don't fuck up with your stuff, then it's if you use probably a better software than I did, and if you don't fuck up your EC2s, it might be the real estimation of. So a 512-bit key costs you $137, they say. And if we move up a bit, you find here the $560 million it costs to factor a 1024-bit RSA key. Who of you thinks a big government agency can't buy computers which are worth computing time from Amazon? Right? So that's actually where we have our limitations. If you go just one higher to 2048 bits, then you see it just jumps up. It just jumps up, and I'm not totally sure if the US can pay like 10 to the power of $17. I'm not entirely sure if they can just put this in one agency. Maybe in all of them, but not in one. So if your key is better than 2048-bit, and that's actually the sentence of the whole talk, if your key is better than that, you're okay for the moment until discrete log is broken. And if you didn't screw up, I just did last year, I just downloaded like all keys I could get using ZMap and just played a bit around with EC2 and stuff. And I found somebody with a key which he had his private key up to a paste bin for whatever reason. And that was like a 512, and I calculated it, and he used the same password on his new key. Not smart. I think not smart. So basically that's what I wanted to say on this little talk here is we can factor hardcore, and that's what you see here, all this mathematics stuff, that's the hardcore way. We can go other route too. If you look at half of the internet, which computers we have in half on the internet? Brain. Come on, give it to me. You wasn't listening? What is the half of the internet? Which kind of computer is in there? Bacon zombie, don't, come on. You know it. You need some booze? Who knows what's half of the computers in the internet? What? That would be perfect, but unfortunately not. Little routers. You know your little industry strength firewall, your little Cisco, and all this crap. These are little routers. To me, a Cisco is no different than a Wi-Fi router when it goes about seeding a good key. And we have DSA and we have RSA, and what's the difference? The DSA key is there's a nonce in there when you create your key. And when you do this with fucked up entropy, that means your nonce is fucked up, easy to compute, which means your private key forever is going to be easy to compute. So maybe, and sometimes before we start factoring shit, we just take the greatest common divisor and have the same. I had occasions where I could actually calculate 10,024-bit RSA in 50 milliseconds by using the greatest common divisor because the seeding is fucked up. So actually, you work all for the industry, tell your employer get rid of them fucking internet standing, industry-grade, hardened firewalls, which most of the time are the entry point to your company. With that said, I'm going to close it for here. NSA is not better than that. And now you know what you're going to do. You can do it by yourself. Thank you. Anyone want something to drink? Was it not good? Yeah.
Just a second, please.
We're running out of time. Want to do question round in the lobby with more of these? Let's do it in the lobby. They're running out of time, right?
So just
hit me in the lobby. Where is it? Huh? I don't see anything. I'm blind. Where's you?
Here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in your presentation, you omitted the problem with quantum computers, and I've heard that after we start using them, the world explodes and the RSA is broken. So
yeah,
is
right.
that correct?
Yeah, that's a real problem. I don't know if how far you digged into quantum computers. The quantum computer has the big advantage of your light, your little thing, a spin up and spin down, and both in the same time. So we got the quantum bit, which are 3 bits for everyone. You used the quantum computer yet? No boos. Raise your hand.
Google, I think.
Google don't. The only one, I got approached once from somebody saying to me, if we had a quantum computer, would you like to help us operating that thing? But the guys who approached me, I actually told them no, because my PhD thesis was about this. So I decided not to do this for those people. At the end of the day, it comes down that that's not a stable technology yet. You have to find some clean material where you send the laser through, right? You have to split in the correct time. I don't know if they do it right now with splitting, so with connected splitting, or if we don't do it, and then if it's equal splitting or just turn splitting. I'm not totally assured about it, but what I can assure you, we do not have a good quantum computer in the moment. But if we have a quantum computer, then factorization is fucked. But if we have a quantum computer, we have great people like Lenstra or so. They maybe create some whole new encryption system. And if we have a quantum computer, maybe we want to do our quantum encryption like this. Hey, there's a laser. Hey, laser, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing fine. What is a laser? Laser is the Germanest form of light. They all march like, laser, I have to go this way. Laser never splits. Laser is light which you press in a form. They have to walk uniform. Those are the soldiers under the light. So you have to send out your laser and you say, okay, I sent the quantum beam. And if somebody measures a quantum, what happens? What happens on measure? Come on, you ask the question. What happens on measurement? It changes. It takes, no, don't change. It will get to a state, because before it's stateless, right? So it will take a state when you measure it. So, and my thesis, it was like this: when you measure it, I just close the connection, because it should be measured when the last quantum comes in. The problem is, how do you let it come in without having it measured? So there's the double slit experiment, what probably everybody of you knows. No, it's not in biology. It's clean by light. So measuring means it takes a state, and that's where we get in the difficulty. How do you collect all these little quantums so they get one message without measuring them? But maybe that's a subject for another talk. But my next talk will be, which cipher can I use? Because many people ask me, which cipher can I use? I got now all this RSA and everything, but everybody implements it by itself. We got million ciphers. What can I use? Which implementation is good? And I will do a research over probably the next 2 years to give a talk about that. So this is a basically university talk. Now come up here and get something to drink.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Big applause again, please.